Hi, in this video, I'll show you how to build a DeepSeek AI agent in Python using Groq and Agno. We will use Agno as the agentic framework and use Groq as a DeepSeek R1 inference provider. Groq is a fast inference provider, so using it, you can run LLMs at a very high speed. In this example, we are going to run the DeepSeek R1 Distill Llama 70B at a high speed. So what we need to do first is to install our dependencies. So you come to agno.com and go to docs. On the left sidebar, you select your first agent and scroll down. Over here, we are going to install Agno and OpenAI with this command. Next, we should also install the Groq Python package. So on this website, you go to developer and select Groq libraries. You have noticed here I have the Python option selected, so we can install it with pip install Groq. So Groq allows you to run supported large language models at a very high speed. Over here you have noticed they have Llama 3. If I select that, they also have other models. You can also use the dev console, and here we can select different models. In this example, we are going to use the DeepSeek R1 Distill Llama 70B. However, we don't want to use the dev console. We want to create an AI agent in Python and use DeepSeek R1 as the model through Groq. So in this example, I have already created a project for this in Cursor. I showed you how to install Agno and Groq. After installing Agno and Groq, you should add these two imports. You have noticed here I have also imported the Agno playground. This will allow us to interact with the AI agent in a beautiful interface. Next, we create a new agent in Agno using the agent class. So with the agent class, we have all these properties. In this example, the only property we need is the model. So we specify the model using the Groq class and pass the ID of the model we want to use. As I told you before, if we go back to the Groq website, I copied the same name here, DeepSeek R1 Distill Llama 70B. As you have seen here, it is a very large model, but running it through Groq will even skip the reasoning steps because DeepSeek R1 is a reasoning model. So let's go back to the code. After specifying the model, we also set markdown to true in order to get a well-formatted output generation from the model. There are also additional parameters we can add, like show to calls and monitoring, in order to examine the performance of the model. Since we don't want to print the response in the command line, we create a new app using the Agno's Playground class and pass our AI agent as a list. Lastly, we should save the Playground app and run it. But before we run the app, we need to authenticate it. So let's bring the terminal with Control and backtick. To authenticate the Playground app in Agno, we use the command agsetup. That will log in to my Agno dashboard. To use the agent we just created, we go to Playground. Over here, you have noticed we have a demo agent. From the endpoint, we can select the agent we want. So when using the Agno Playground, when we run the agent, by default it runs on the local host at port 777. So the local host is not activated yet because we haven't run the app. So let's go back to the code again. I will minimize the terminal a bit and navigate to the folder containing this file, DeepSeek Groq agent.py. Then we run this file with Python 3. You have noticed here the app is now running on the local host at port 777, as I told you before. We also have a link to open it in the browser, so I'll press Command and click it to open it in the browser. That will go to the same dashboard. You have now noticed we now have a green indication indicating the local host is now activated. So we are now ready to chat with the agent. To add a prompt, I'll go back to the code and minimize the terminal. Over here, I will copy this prompt and go back to the Agent UI Playground and paste the prompt. Before I send the prompt, you have noticed on the right, we have information about the agent. We are now using Groq and DeepSeek R1 Distill Llama 70B. Since we are using Groq to run DeepSeek R1, it will skip all the reasoning steps, so we don't need to wait for a longer time. So let's send the prompt. You have noticed that was more faster than to run it with, for example, LM Studio. It may take about 3 to 5 minutes in order to generate the final answer for this prompt. Although we have a reasoning model, I have already checked the answer for this example. So 6 meters per second is the correct answer. So this is how to create a DeepSeek R1 AI agent in Python and using Agno as the agentic framework.